If YouTube shuts down and goes away, do I have a plan? What do I do? The answer is yes, kind of, and we're going to talk about it today. Gentlemen, welcome back to the Tiege Hanley Starting a Business, Building a Brand vlog. This one, big number 305. I was right. So I got asked a question this past week on last vlog that I think is one that I've been thinking about now for a long time. And that is, what happens to me? What happens to my businesses? What happens to everything that I built if YouTube literally goes dark, shuts down? Now you're thinking, you're like, yo, that's crazy. It would never happen. Well, that's what a lot of people thought on Vine. Remember that platform? People had careers, people had, they were making money, they were successful, and then all of a sudden, one night, it got sold and boom, it got shut down. Now, YouTube, I don't think that's gonna happen because of how big of a profit center it is for Google, but you literally never know. And the truth is that over the course of the past few years, I have seen a lot of changes, like tons of changes. The YouTube that we see today is very different than it was 10 years ago, very different than it was 5 years ago, very different than it was a year ago. And not all of the changes have been amazing for me and my businesses and the people and the content creators. There were people that had really successful channels that were making a lot of money, selling merch, doing all sorts of stuff that basically were a little bit risque, that were talking about things that were a little bit more mature, that literally like overnight, YouTube put the kibosh on, basically stifling them or suppressing people actually seeing them. And so they go from, I remember now, there was they basically did this whole like monetization thing where if your content was a little bit racy or whatever, they demonetized it. Previously, up until like 2 years ago, people were making a lot of money on these videos. That's what it was. Literally, like overnight, a ton of creators that had more mature content, that were cursing, that were being a little bit more outlandish, lost like all of the revenue because of one single change, one little switch that was flipped by YouTube or the algorithm or the powers that be, and they literally went from making a lot of money to like no money. So what do? Ethan Klein, perfect example, right? His content was doing really well. It was super popular, H3. And then there were some changes that happened and he's like, yo, I can't thrive here. I can't survive. And so he kind of transitioned or went a little bit more to Twitch and then came back with the podcast thing. And now he doesn't even make really videos for his H3 channel. It's all like the podcast, or he doesn't make that type of content anymore. That was a little bit more outlandish because it just he wasn't able to monetize it. He wasn't able to make money, and not to mention, it was just, it's changed a lot. And so anyway, there was a question last week that I want to get to right now that kind of got me thinking about this, but I've always been thinking about this because of all the changes that are going on. But I want to tell you a little bit about my thoughts and my plan if the worst case scenario kind of happens. So Shane Melcha always brings it strong with the question, Shane, what's happening? Thanks for being here. He says, YouTube is gone. YouTube has decided to flip the switch and go dark. Where do you go from here? Where do you pivot when a majority of your success has been based on one platform? In order to prevent this worst case scenario, do you try to divide your time and maintain a strong presence on multiple platforms? And if so, which ones do you prioritize? So this is such an incredible question. It's not just related to me and YouTube. It's pretty much like any platform that you potentially are selling on, right? As an entrepreneur. If you have all of your eggs in one basket and that basket like drops, what happens? You break all your eggs. And so this is something that I have been ultra aware of for a very long time. Now, one of the things that you do as a YouTuber is try to create, or I have done, has been try to create brands off of the platform that does not rely on the platform. All right, Pete and Pedro, Tiege Hanley. These two companies at first relied pretty much exclusively on me being on YouTube, right? I was doing lots of videos, I was doing the content, I was driving traffic. And then it was continuing to do well, or these companies continued to thrive based on previous videos. And that's one of the beautiful things about YouTube as a platform. It's kind of like evergreen. You do a piece of content today, and a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, you're still getting sales because people are finding that video and the link is still there, and it's kind of like evergreen. And that is something that is unlike most every other platform that's out there. You know, most other platforms, you put the content out, if you're paying for it in terms of like advertising, as soon as that advertising budget is gone, boom, it's done, nobody can find it. Even platforms like TikTok and Instagram, you know, it's a very short window in which people are actually seeing your content. The life cycle is super short as opposed to YouTube, which is very long. Like something I posted on Instagram, you know, a year ago, who knows? Are people still seeing it? Are people still engaging with it? Probably not. It's a different animal. YouTube is kind of like a search engine, right? People go there to learn things. People are constantly like searching, not to mention Google, right? When you Google something, what happens? If there's a video on that topic or that thing that you're Googling, typically it's going to show up and you're going to be able to basically get sales from that or you know, get some type of benefit from that. But TikToks don't show. I've never seen an Instagram video show. And so I think it's different. But one of the things that I have done consciously has been to try to grow these businesses independent of me and independent of the platform of YouTube. And so, you know, Pete and Pedro, Tiege, Hanley, we really leverage, you know, our customer base and our email list. And this is something that just a good sort of lesson to learn is that if you are somebody that is growing a business and you're advertising on one specific platform, it is critical to build up some way to contact your customer base if that advertising mechanism goes away. So if YouTube shuts down, I still have a huge customer list on, you know, Pete and Pedro, Tiege, Hanley. I've got their email address. I have a way to reach out and stay in contact with them. Something else that I have and have done has been to actually build a website, right? A website where if you Google alpha.m.com is going to show up. So if YouTube went away, you could basically, and people were still so interested to see what was going on, I know that, hey, I've got a home base. I've got a place where I can post content or videos or whatever I want to post there that will allow or direct people or still be able to engage with people. When I first started the website, I Am Alpha M, that's all it was. It was a membership website, and my thinking was, okay, I need to get people to watch videos and my content here, and at the time I had it be like a membership, you know, website where they're paying me a fee, and that was just not a sustainable model for me. I ended up making a lot more money by just giving away the content. Anyway, the goal should be not to have all your eggs in one basket. So if YouTube went away, went dark, Tiege Hanley would continue to do really well. Now, the one thing that Tiege Hanley does that we have really kind of leaned into is the influencer game, right? We have been using and leveraging other influencers other than me. Now, the truth is there are always going to be influencers. So if the platform goes away, it doesn't mean that those influencers or their ability to upload content and talk about products, it doesn't go away. The platform will just change. You know, for me, I realized kind of a while ago that you know, I need to be on multiple platforms. Do I love other platforms? Do I love, you know, Instagram and TikTok? Not really. Am I there? Yeah. Have I made it a conscious decision and effort to try to grow on those two platforms? The answer is yes. Right now, I think my Instagram has like 650,000 people. It's not huge, but it's not nothing. TikTok, TikTok is one of those things where my wife, I think that's kind of like her love language. She sends me all sorts of like funny TikToks. And anyway, but I am not somebody that goes on TikTok and, you know, watches videos. But do I know and do I feel like it's probably something I should spend a little bit of time and possibly money investing in? And the answer was yes. And so I hired somebody to basically take my videos, take my content, break it up, make it a TikTok format, and upload it to TikTok. Currently, I have like 430,000 followers on TikTok. And so, you know, in terms of Facebook, I don't put much time or energy in Facebook other than like advertising. You know, advertising, I think it's still viable, it's still relevant. It's not as viable or relevant as it used to be, but it's still effective in terms of advertising. For me and my businesses, what we have found is that Google Shopping has become a lot better in terms of an ROI. Also, Amazon. If you are on Amazon, there are some really targeted ways to sort of do things and sell things on Amazon. And so that's also another great platform. And the other truth is that I would go deeper. I would go harder on the platforms that are working. The truth is, I have seen kind of like the writing on the wall for a long time in terms of, I used to think, oh, I have control over, my YouTube channel and YouTube. And the truth is, you are at the mercy of the algorithm of YouTube, the company of Google. And if they decide they don't like you, your content, or you do something that they deem like, hold on. It was Antonio, he can wait. Or you do something that they deem offensive or inappropriate or whatever, like you get a few strikes. You do it a few times, you get like 3 strikes and you're out. Like they can completely eliminate you from the face of the cyber universe in terms of YouTube. And so I've always been aware that it's, as long as I can ride the wave, I think I will ride the wave. I love making videos. I love putting out content. I just filmed so far 2 Alpha M projects. They are not launched yet. They're going to be launching, I think, the first one the end of this month. But it just, making that type of content really just fuels my soul, and, doing makeovers and things of that nature. I just love it so much. COVID has stifled me a bit in terms of my creativity and my ability to get out and do what I kind of want to do, but I'm hoping to get back there soon. The Alpha M project, although it's a little bit different than it used to be, it's awesome. And the second makeover, this guy Jack, you guys are gonna freak out. Like, it is so incredible what kind of, it feels good. And so I think I'll always honestly be making some type of video or content because I love doing it. It's my outlet, it's my therapy, it's what I love doing. But I often will think about, what does life look like in 10 years? What does life look like in 5 years? I just don't know. I try not to make 5-year plans. At this stage of the game, I'm just trying to, do the best I can and succeed where I can and celebrate the little wins and not get too frustrated or beat myself up when things don't go as I plan or as I hope. Because the truth is, you really can't control, certain aspects of the platform or, just business, and that, you can't control, like what has happened with COVID, like that should wake everybody up and understand that, worst case scenarios rarely happen, but they can happen. Everything that's happened with COVID in terms of shipping, in terms of, the supply chain, it has effed up things really bad. Not only are things more expensive, it's just changing. The world is changing. We are changing. Consumers are changing. It's heartbreaking. I think about some of my friends that had apparel businesses. When COVID hit, boom, their sales dropped like 80%. Whereas grooming businesses like Pete and Pedro, Tiege, Hanley, boom, they took off because people were home. People were still interested in grooming. It was just lucky that that's the way it swung. It could have swung the other way, and you just never know. And so I guess to wrap this question up, and Shane, thank you so much for always making me think a little bit harder than I like to. You've just got to be prepared, and having all your eggs, all of your income streams be focused in one area is a dangerous place to be. And so if you are somebody that is starting your entrepreneurial journey on a specific platform, do it, but just understand that the sooner you can get people off of that platform and sign up to something that you own, right? Because it's about you owning. I own my email list. It's critical that you figure out a way to get people off of the platform to sign up so that you have access to them in case worst case scenario happens, it shuts down. You're like, yo, that sucks. I got to figure out, make some moves, but at least I can keep and stay in touch with my audience or my consumers. And so great question. It's just a great question and something that I'm ultra aware of and definitely a little bit paranoid about. But you know what? I'm a survivor, and I haven't had it the easiest. I haven't had it the hardest, but I'm confident in my and my team's ability to be nimble enough to figure it out and shift and change directions. And I think that's something that you also need to just understand. You've got to be nimble, and you've got to be willing to look outside of the box if you expect to thrive or survive in the crazy, crazy ass world that we live in. But great question. The next question comes from our friend Will Kissick. He says, business question. Hey Aaron, I know you're sponsored by Brio. Having said that, Jose, David, and a bunch of other male influencers promote Manscaped. It's true, they all do. I assume they reached out to you to promote them in videos. My question is, why haven't you done a video promoting Manscaped? Is it quality or is it conflicts with Brio deal or something else? So, how do I answer this professionally? Yes, they've reached out a few times. Yes, I have had a deal with Brio for a long time, and I really like the Brio product. I also use the Brio on my body. I also have bought 3 of the models of Manscaped myself just to test out and try. And I have not promoted them. And so I think Manscaped is a hell of a company. They're doing a great job in marketing, and I think they're doing a great job with marketing. Let me say one more thing. I bought the product myself, thinking, okay, now I can do like an honest review. Nobody can say anything, and I'll be totally legally off the hook, right? And the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, wait a second. If I come out and say anything negative about a brand, a company, and a big brand like that, I am setting myself up for problems possibly, and something that I'm not interested. It's like, why am I doing it? And not that they'd win a lawsuit or anything, but do I really want to set myself up for that? The answer is no, I don't. And so I think that it's a fine company. I think it's a nice product, and I think that they've done a really good job marketing. I think they're a great marketing team, and they have built a huge, impressive business. But yes, it's not something that I have promoted, and I don't anticipate promoting them in the future anytime soon. But great question. And the last question is from our friend Gary Hernandez, Self-Defense and Urban Survival. All right, this is, I keep pushing you off, Gary, but I am literally I got 2 minutes before a series of meetings. Says, business question. Hello, Aaron. From tactical to practical. When you are coming up with the tactical strategy on paper for building a new business that sounds good to you because you totally understand the direction you're wanting to go with it. Huh? You know what? I'm going to hop on this meeting. I'll be back in 2 hours. 2 hours later, my voice is gone and I'm tired. So Gary, I'm going to give you a half-assed answer to this one. All right, let me repeat the question because it didn't make a lot of sense when I read it the first time. It says, okay, from tactical to practical. When you're coming up with the tactical strategy on paper for building a new business that sounds good to you because you totally understand the direction you're wanting to go with it. Okay, how do you then make it more practical for your consumers to relate to and understand? This is not about self-defense, more on marketing products for sale and moving into a new building. Gary, I have no idea what you're asking with this question. I'm not sure what I don't know what you're asking. And so I think you need to do a better job explaining it to me, because if I don't understand the question, something else is not. So please, Gary, explain this like I'm 3 years old, because most times I'm 3 and after a long day, I must be dense, or it's just, I don't understand the question. So let's do this again. Gary, down below, ask your question, see if you can clarify it and ask more specific questions. This is a little bit more abstract, and I'm not sure I'm getting it. I've read it 5 times and I just don't understand what you're asking. I just don't understand. So if there's a more specific question, please ask it again. Gentlemen, if you have a business question, ask it. Start with business question and ask your question. Next week, I'm going to try and get to some more of your business questions. I've got a big meeting on Monday with some people for the house. Maybe I'll give you an update. I also am going to take a quick little weekend trip next week. My wife and I, super excited about. Tell you about that next week. Anyway, other than that, guys, I have had a long day and I'm super tired. I hope you guys are doing well. Some real exciting stuff with Tiege Hanley. We're having a lot of conversations with a lot of different firms and agencies about potentially investing in Tiege Hanley. Once we have a little more information, I will fill you in more specifically about that. But things are looking really good. Kelly and Andrew have just been crushing it in terms of the conversations with private equity firms, VC firms, bankers, like we've been doing a lot of talking and a lot of dating at this point in terms of trying to find the best partner for Tiege Hanley in terms of bringing in extra capital to help us grow and continue the growth that we have been experiencing. It's all super exciting, a little nerve-wracking. In 2 weeks, we're going to be in Chicago and definitely going to bring the camera, but lots of incredibly exciting stuff that can't wait to tell you more about it. I just can't tell you some of the details now because it's a little bit too early, but things are good. Also, testing lots of deodorants, all of which have been amazing. Gentlemen, speaking of amazing, you are incredible and you're a rock star. Thank you so much for rolling with us. As always, we love you more than our double monk strap shoes. Guys, have a great and safe week. We'll see you next week.